Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious New Orleans roast beef po' boy. Now, a po' boy is a traditional sandwich from Louisiana, mostly from New Orleans. It consists of any type of meat or seafood. In this case, we use slow-cooked roast beef, which we make a gravy and everything in its own juices. And we have toppings like lettuce and tomato, and we top it with a toasted, buttered, and we add a little mayonnaise on there as well. New Orleans baguette style French bread. This recipe calls for you to make two 12-inch sandwiches. Now you can take those sandwiches and cut them in half, and that way you can have 4 6-inch sandwiches. Now if you want to do like a catering, a little small catering for like 8 people, you could take the 6-inch sandwiches, cut them in half, and you'll have 8 small little party size sandwiches. So it's a great lunch item. It's flavorful, juicy, and absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your New Orleans style roast beef po' boy. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 10 ounces in weight. That's 283 grams of French bread. Now this is a locally made, locally owned New Orleans style French bread right here. But if you can find any other brand French bread, as long as it's 10 ounces in weight, you'll be good to go. Alright, and this is how it looks here. Alright, and along with that, you're going to need 2 pounds of beef chuck roast. You will also need some better than bouillon beef base, all-purpose flour, salted butter, extra virgin olive oil, mayonnaise, shredded lettuce, tomato, and for your seasonings, you're going to need 1 yellow onion, bell pepper, garlic, salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic. And for your tools, you will need a slow cooker. Now this is a 7-quart slow cooker by Crock-Pot. And along with that, you're going to need a fat separator by Good Grips. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So we're going to go ahead and get started by chopping up 1 yellow onion. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and rinse off my bell pepper. And afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and rinse off my tomato. Make sure you remove the core out of the center of your bell pepper before you chop it. Now you're going to chop a half of a green bell pepper. Alright, here I have 2 cloves of garlic. I went on ahead and cut them in half. Now I'm going to go ahead and chop the garlic up until it is minced. Now I'm going to go ahead and slice my tomato into thin slices. You can slice it to whatever thickness you want. Alright, let's get started with our beef base mixture. So in this medium sized bowl, I have 4 cups of hot water, and to that I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the better than bouillon beef base, just to enhance the flavor a little bit. Now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm just going to stir this until that beef base has dissolved into the water. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add my roast into a strainer, and I'm going to rinse the roast off with cold water. Alright, I transferred my roast into this 11 by 17 inch baking pan, and next I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil, about 2 teaspoons of that into the palm of my hand. I just rub it together and just rub that all around the roast. Alright, now before we get started with adding our seasonings, I just want to let you know, if you want any measurements in terms of how much seasoning to add on both sides, I would say about 1/4 teaspoon of each seasoning onto both sides of the roast. But as for me, I'm just going to sprinkle it. I'm going to just lightly sprinkle some salt onto both sides of the roast. Next, I'm going to sprinkle some black pepper onto both sides of the roast. Next, I'm going to lightly sprinkle some Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning onto both sides of the roast. And I'm going to sprinkle some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic onto both sides of the roast. And as a little special bonus, I'm going to just lightly sprinkle some dried thyme on top of my roast. I don't know why, but I love thyme when it comes to the roast. I'm going to just take my hands and just press those seasonings into the roast like that. Same thing for the other side. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my roast into this large saucepan. Now don't worry about the smoke. That's just a part of the magic of the cooking process. When it comes to browning and searing, you're going to have some smoke involved. So don't worry about that. That is normal. Now you're going to let this sear for about 4 minutes on each side. Alright, our roast is seared on both sides, and as you can see, that's a nice golden brown. Look at that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my roast and add it onto this baking pan, the same baking pan that I seasoned it and everything. And I'm going to just let it sit here until we saute our seasonings and everything. Alright, now in our same saucepan that we seared our roast in, we're going to add 1 1/2 tablespoons of salted butter. And I'm going to let the butter melt. Alright, next I'm going to add 1 cup of chopped yellow onion. And 3/4 cup of chopped green bell pepper. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. I'm going to let this saute for 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 6 minutes now. And as you can see, our seasonings are nice and caramelized. All of that good caramelization comes from the bottom of the saucepan from when we seared our roast. So it's going to give a more depth and flavor to our roast beef sandwich. This is what you call building on flavors. Alright, next up I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic and the beef stock. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this come to a slight simmer. Alright, our mixture is at a slight simmer now. And you also want to pay attention to the bottom of the saucepan. All of that stuff that was on the bottom of the saucepan should be completely dissolved into the beef stock mixture. Turn your fire off. Set your slow cooker to high. Alright, here we have the base to our slow cooker. I'm going to just take my beef roast and just add that in there. Now next I'm going to go ahead and pour my beef base mixture right on in there. Alright, now I'm going to just give this a quick stir, just one last final quick stir. Ooh, that smells wonderful. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover this. Then you're going to let this slow cook for about 6 to 8 hours or overnight. Alright, it's been about 6 to 8 hours now. Now let's go ahead and check on our roast. As you can see, roast is nice and tender. And the roast is done. Turn your slow cooker off. Alright, here I have my roast in the crock pot. I'm going to just take my spatula and glide it on top of the roast to remove some of the seasoning that they have on top. I'll just try to pick it up from one side. As you can see, it's all broken up. And from there, I'm just going to add it into this baking pan over here. Sub it over here. Alright, here we have our fat separator with a mesh strainer on top. I'm going to just pour the gravy-based mixture right on top. Alright, now this is our leftover pulp from our seasoning. If you want to add this back into your gravy, you can do so. That's totally up to you. Now once done, you should have about 2.5 cups of the beef-based mixture, and at the top you're going to have a little bit of oil. We're going to use that to make a roux. Alright, here we have our roast, and you could either use a spatula or fork, and we're just going to break this all up. Do it however way you want to. Do what works for you. Meantime, I'm going to just take some of it, add it into this bowl here. And from there, I'm going to just cover the bowl with aluminum foil. That's going to help keep the roast beef warm. I'm going to just set this on the side while I make the gravy. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with making our gravy. So in this large saucepan, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons. Remember the fat from our beef roast. We're just going to add that in there, about 3 tablespoons. And to that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. And I'm going to stir this continuously for about 6 minutes or until the roux reaches a brown color, like how you see here. Next, I'm going to add 2 1/2 cups of the beef base right on in there. Now don't worry about the smoke, that's just the magic of cooking. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 3 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, now I'm going to add our shredded roast beef. I'm going to add that right on in there. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Make sure you stir it really well so the gravy can incorporate. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover this. Now we're going to let this simmer for 3 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 3 minutes now. And as you can see, our gravy has thickened. And our roast beef mixture is now done. Turn your fire off. Now you're going to let this cool until it's warm for about 30 minutes, and then from there it's ready to be added onto your sandwich. Alright, here's our French bread here, and we have a serrated knife. Now you can do this several different ways. Now if you want to serve more people, just assemble the entire sandwich first, and then from there cut it to your desired length. You can make 4 6-inch in length sandwiches, and if you want to serve 8 people, you can cut it into 3 inches in length sandwiches, and it'll make about 8 of those. Okay, but I'm gonna just do one whole sandwich here, so I have about 12 to 15 inch length here. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just take this serrated knife and I'm gonna just cut it like that. So I have 2 slices of bread. I have a 12 and a 15 inch. All right, now on the side of the bread, there's this little groove on the side. We're just gonna take our serrated knife and we're just gonna cut in, just gently cut into that. And from there, you can just open the bread. All right, so in this pan, I melted about 3 tablespoons of salted butter, and I have a pastry brush. And we're just gonna take the butter and we're just gonna brush that on top of the French bread. I'm gonna just take the bread and add it onto this 11 by 17 inch baking pan. And we're gonna go ahead and just toast this. Set your oven broiler to high. Now you're gonna place the bread into the broiler part of your oven for 1 minute and 30 seconds. After 1 minute and 30 seconds, you're going to go ahead and remove the bread from the broiler part of your oven. Turn your oven broiler off. Alright, let's get started with the decoration of our sandwich. So here we have our bread, nice and toasted, ready to go. Let it cool off for about 5 minutes. So now I'm going to go ahead and just spread some mayonnaise right on top. Alright, next we're going to add our roast beef mixture. You can add as much as you like. And next up, we're going to add our tomatoes, followed by our shredded lettuce. I don't think this sandwich is going to be able to close, y'all. And from there, you just take it and just fold it onto itself. And you just push down with your hand, and there you go. Sandwich is ready. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. New Orleans style roast beef po' boy, made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. Now I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for this delicious homemade roast beef po' boy. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. I don't know where to start. Yeah. Man, oh man, this sandwich is on point. It's juicy, has a wonderful beef flavor, and the greatest thing about it is that the juices and everything from the beef has kind of pretty much soaked up into that bread. It really melts in your mouth. I mean, it is delicious. I'm telling y'all, try the recipe. It's on point. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a good one. Peace. Now I gotta take me another bite of this. Oh man, look at this. Mm-hmm.